Hey, welcome back to the studio. This is My Day of Play, where you're taken into the real events and actions of how it happens long before the process of editing or cleaning up. This is how it really went. Now, today we're broadcasting from the RV deep inside a nature preserve. You're going to hear some things in the background. You're going to go, what? Especially when it comes to those connections to Zoom. First, we're going to be spending some time with actress and author Kelly Bishop. She's best known for her role on The Gilmore Girls. Then we're going to fun it up with Charlton Pettis and Kay Handley, the creators of Disney Junior's Kindergarten, the musical. Then get ready for our third conversation. We're cooking up a storm with Anna Jones. And finally, we'll put a little fun in art with Susan Hensley. This is My Day of Play, completely unedited in the way of meeting the wizard behind the curtain. Hello and good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning, Arrow. Okay, we got Kelly Bishop here. Take it away, my friend.
Hey, Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Absolutely excited to share a conversation with you because you are that person who doesn't stop at just one victory. You're always going out there to try something new, to share it with the world and to build things up.
I do try. I'm not always successful, but I'm always trying. Yes.
But you know, though, it's those moments where it is kind of a change or a challenge that I learn from that kind of stuff, because then that next reason I say yes gives that open door policy.
Well, the thing is, when you've got a challenge, then you have a reason, and any kind of a conflict is good for even theater. I mean, you can't have a good laugh without conflict, and you can't have a good serious moment without conflict. So we just keep soldiering on, all of us, and do the best we can.
Well, even with the Gilmore Girls, right there's your conflict, but yet we keep on watching. Even in reruns and things, we're still glued to this.
I know. There's something about that show. It's just, I'm so happy about that because I thought it was a good show. I was really proud to be doing it because it was quality television. And the fact that it's lasted so long with so many fans is just amazing and delightful to me.
Well, it always reminded me, because I grew up with the Brady Bunch and shows like that. I always thought that this was the closest thing to our real lives, a show like Gilmore Girls. You know, it wasn't a sitcom. It was just something that was really was a part of our lives.
It was, and what was doubly nice for me, both as an actor and as a viewer, is that it had so much really clever humor in it, and yet, like you said, it wasn't a sitcom. We didn't have to sit around and wait for the laugh to clear to get on to the next scene. You just kept moving right along, and if you got it, you got it, and if you didn't, watch it over again.
You're from Colorado. I'm from Montana. What is it about those Rockies that teaches us to be very creative and expressive?
I guess maybe it's just hiking up there. I heard about some people the other day who are East Coast people who wanted to go to the Rockies. So always wanted to see them, and they really went someplace high. And they said they were waking up at night because they couldn't breathe at night. Now, we know it when we're walking up those mountains trying to catch our breath. Denver's a mile high to start with. So I had some advantage, but it's beautiful. Come on. The Rockies are just incredible.
Did you ever get over there to Elitch's and do those roller coasters?
No. Oh, wait a minute. Elitch's? Yes, of course I did. Yes. Elitch's. How do you know that?
Oh, because my sister lived in Denver, and so we used to escape to Denver all the time. And oh my God, and we go down there to see a Broncos game? Heck yeah.
Yeah. I went through a little period there with the roller coasters where, with my little girlfriend and I, we get off the roller coaster and go around and stand in line, and we get on it again, and we did it like 8 times, and then we'd stop and maybe, I don't know, take the merry-go-round, and then we go back and stand in line again.
Well, isn't that pretty much your career? You just keep getting back in line?
Good point. Thank you very much. Yes, I do.
Being a part of the Mrs. Maisel legacy, this show became such a huge part of my wife and I's life. I mean, it was the standard. We had to be there every week.
I felt the same way. And, I didn't do all the shows, never was planning to. But I found myself looking forward to watching the shows I wasn't in. I mean, I'd watch all of them anyway, but I wanted to see what was happening next. And it just was just a really good show, good cast, good writing, as I said, funny and then poignant at times. And it just kept moving along. And I always felt that the more intelligent you were, the more you got out of it.
Yeah, and it also taught us that the quality does exist if you sit there and you're patient for it, and that's why I loved it about where we had to wait week by week because we were so used to getting everything dumped on us at one time. This way, we had to have patience.
It's true, and I think it is something to look forward to. I'm not exactly someone who's likely to binge anything. I mean, it's a big deal if I watch 2 shows in a row, but I rarely even do that. I like to watch a show and let it absorb it, as it were, and then go to the next thing instead of just being inundated with all of this. I kind of like the old schedule myself, but this is a new world.
I love the way that you included photographs in the book because to me, photographs say so much. I can sit there and stare at a picture so long and just feel the emotion that is shared.
Well, that was part of in putting this book together, because I'd certainly never written a book before. And as we were working on it and, doing the real writing of it, I, was in being in touch with the publishers and everything. I said, I want pictures in this book. When I read a biography of someone or a memoir, I want to see pictures. So I was really kind of adamant about that. And I agree with you. I just think it's important.
Yeah, because there were many times that I would read something in the book and I would go back to the picture because I wanted to see the identity of the person that was sharing the story and instead of getting my own interpretation.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and you know what the people looked like at that time, and and my favorite picture, and they're talking about the Rockies, is that one. I think it's right in the first part of the pictures. Is when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my brother and I were up in the Rockies, and he's standing. We're both standing next to a tree, and he's holding a little American flag, and I'm standing there leaning against the tree with my hand on my hip, like a little sassy girl. I just love that picture.
You've got to come back to this show anytime in the future. 7 minutes with you is not enough time.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. Yes, we had a lot of traffic coming into New York today, so everything kind of got pushed back. But it's my pleasure. Anytime.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
I shall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, don't move, because coming up next, we're going to have some fun with Charlton Pettis and Kay Hanley from Disney Jr.
Hey, Arrow, this is Ramon in the control room. Just wanted to let you know that you could take extra time on this if you need.
Oh, I love it because I've got so many questions. I am a big fan of this, dude.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and patch them in. Stand by.
Excellent.
Hey, Arrow.
Hello and good morning, you guys. How are you doing today? Whoop, we've got a disconnection here. Hang on just 1 sec. For some reason, it's not coming through. How are you guys doing today?
It sounds like you're cutting out, Arrow.
Okay.
Or is that me?
No, it was cutting out. I'm in a forest here in North Carolina, and it's we had some bad weather and stuff that happened yesterday. But can you hear me now, though?
Yes.
Excellent. Hey, congratulations on this. This right here I feel like that I'm witnessing something that is going to be absolutely legendary because the kids are excited about going to school. This is so positive.
Kindergarten the musical. Woohoo!
Where did the idea come from? Because, I mean, when I went to kindergarten way back in the 1960s, I, too, was just like these guys. I would want to sing all the time. I was so in love with being in school, and my teachers were just amazing.
Well, I think that's exactly where it came from. We're songwriters first and foremost. And, we were in the rock and pop world for a long time. And the idea came from Charlton and one of our other writing partners, co-EP, Michelle Lewis. And then, when we brought the idea to Disney and they were like, we love it, let's make a show. The Birdie, Radish, and Rose, our lead characters, are really just avatars for ourselves, if we're being honest. They're the feelings that you have as a 5-year-old. It turns out they don't really change that much as you get older. So it's not really that hard to write from the headspace of a 5-year-old because I'm kind of still there.
Yeah.
It's liberating, if anything. You don't have to pretend. You can just be your raw self.
Yeah.
But see, that's what makes
As
it
a
so
writer, it's kind of a dream scenario.
That's what makes it so special, because one of the things that I caught up on right away, only because I have little ones in our neighborhood, is the camaraderie with the friendships. I love seeing kids play, explore, and just do things together.
Totally. I mean, that's life at that age, right? You're just beginning to have these friendships that you're learning to do, and kind of learning to be a social creature. It's life.
I'll tell you the character that I'm really pulled to. First of all, I do love Birdie, but I love me some Radish. Radish, to me, I don't know if it's because I can relate with Radish, but what a character.
Radish is awesome. He's our resident explorer.
Yep.
Nerd, he's a fanny pack wearing nerd, and he's so lovable and great.
So how does it come about then? Do you write the music and then the storyline, and then you take it to the animators? What is the process? Or do they come up with the animation and you build around that?
No. It's story first, but the stories and songs kind of co-evolve. Like, we'll hash out the basic story beats for an episode, and then figure out where the songs go. Usually at the big emotional moments, and then the script and songs kind of happen concurrently, and then the whole thing gets storyboarded and then sent to animation.
Yeah, I can so relate with that, because my past 2 published books, I did a lot of music while writing the book. And if I feel like that you guys experienced the same exact thing in putting this story together. You're putting a story together. Oh my God, this is a good reason to sing.
Yeah.
I mean, the sing question is always, where are people's emotions getting so big that dialogue doesn't capture it? And that's the moment we go into song, or we go into those 2D fantasy sequences where, we get to actually show the kind of things that we imagine.
Yeah. Self-expression is so important in this storyline. And I mean, as a grandparent and even as a parent, it's like, yes, where was this when I was a kid, so I could be just as expressive?
That's a really good point, Arrow. I mean, the learning, when we're talking about kids learning, I think we kind of underplay how important it is to teach kids about, how to express your feelings. Like math and reading, it's all very important.
Yep.
But your social emotional life and learning how to mature in that area, and how to develop healthy communication habits, and how to manage your feelings. It's like, that's a huge part of learning at that age. And that's sort of where we come in, I think. Not that we didn't really mean to, but that's just how we, the stories that we ended up really feeling the need to tell.
Yeah. When you talk about this being avatars of who you guys were as children at 5 years old, that's like stepping back into your past and reliving it. And it's like, that's one of those things that it's like, we should all do that. Go back and learn from what we did, and be excited about being alive, and then just explore.
Wait, did we say they were us at 5? I thought they were us now.
They are.
See, I'm people always ask me how old I am. I'm 17. I'm never going to stop being 17.
Oh, totally. I'm like 11. Yeah, I mean, you're giving us the benefit of the doubt.
Choosing the Broadway style of music. I mean, because we are in a generation of sound right now where we want the dancing, we want the songs, we want all of that, and it just allows us to find entertainment even as adults. And I think adults are going to fall in love with this show as well.
We hope so. Yeah.
Where does it go from the merchandising? Is that, because you got to be sitting there thinking, man, we can get merch out of this like you wouldn't believe, because there are people all over, young and older people, that want a T-shirt with Radish on it, or they want it with Rose on it, and toys. Oh my God.
I mean, that is all up to Disney and not up to us. But
if it was up to us, there would be so much stuff. It would be
so much. But the thing is that there would be like bedazzled backpacks and like platform sneakers and like many, many different kinds of. I don't know if I should be in charge of
just leg warmers. Leg warmers.
Leg warmers. So many leg warmers. I mean, we and I'm sure that was all coming because it's Disney.
Yep.
But, I think it's just the fact that you say that is just a testament to like the richness of the world, like this kindergarten classroom that the kids exist. I mean, the kids are all so incredibly, they just have so much personality, and each of them as individuals is so just pops off the screen. And they're just and the classroom is just very warm and colorful, and Ms. Moreno is the best all of the best teachers that we've ever had rolled into one. And I do think that it's sort of ripe for like lots of merchandising and stuff, but again, that's not up to us. That is up to Disney Junior.
Yeah, and Kindergarten, the musical on ice. I can see it now.
We were just talking about that. That's the dream. That's when you know you've made it.
Please come back to this show anytime.
You haven't made it till you're on ice.
You're so true.
Oh my gosh.
Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you guys.
Thanks, Arrow. That's
Thank
nice.
you.
Well, you be brilliant
Disney
today, okay?
Yes, and don't forget to watch Kindergarten the Musical on Disney Junior every day and stream it anytime on Disney Plus.
See, that's another reason why I love my Disney Plus, because that's exactly what's going on. We do it all the time. You ready to cook up a storm? Let's do it next with Anna Jones.
Recording in progress.
Michael, how are you?
Just waiting for Arrow. Yeah.
Hey,
What's up?
How you
I
doing?
didn't hear you.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up. Yeah, I got you.
Whoop, hold on just one sec. Probably breaking up. Hold on a sec. It's going to come back in.
You keep breaking up, Arrow.
Yeah, we had that big tropical storm.
Arrow,
yesterday.
you're breaking up.
Yeah, we had that gigantic tropical storm late yesterday. So I'm sure everything's all screwy right now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's really breaking up.
Oh, man. You want to just do it on the phone?
You want to jump off and jump back on?
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Sweet for Arrow to
Can you hear me?
Again. Why don't you tell me how your morning's going, and I'll tell you if you're breaking up or not.
Rock on. How's your morning going? It's a big rainy day.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Yeah, Yeah. You were breaking up there, but then you stopped. I don't know what's going on.
Hold on. Just disconnected again here. Hold on.
At worst case, we could do it on the phone. So
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay now? Oh, there you go. It's
yeah.
It's because of the tropical storm. We got hit really hard last night.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're okay. You have Anna. Here's Anna for till 10:20, my friend.
Good morning, Anna. How are you doing today?
I'm really good, thank you. Really good. Very happy to be chatting to you, Arrow. Really nice. I hope you're doing okay after the storm.
I think we will. Well, this time of year we have to get used to these kinds of things. These big tropical storms that could have easily been a hurricane, but but the thing is, you just do it and just embrace it all. But with cookbooks like yours, though, I gotta tell you, this is what we going camping and things like that. We have to have this with us because you have great things for us to eat all the time.
Yeah, well, I do my best, Arrow. I do my best. Yeah, this book is it's full of there's 125 recipes in it, so hopefully a few ideas. And it's based around a capsule pantry, so 12 ingredients that I think add an enormous amount of flavor. So actually perfect for camping because you don't need to pack too much.
Well, you do talk about that. The 12 hero ingredients, which include lemons, olive oil, mustard, and even tahini. Tahini has become that big go-to thing anymore.
Yeah, tahini is, for me, such a kind of flavor bomb. It adds so much. It adds sweetness, it adds bitterness, it adds kind of creaminess, it adds depth of flavor, and it adds a kind of richness. So it's one of those ingredients that has so many different dimensions going on, and it just sits in a jar for months and months and months without without asking anything of you. And all these ingredients that kind of really add a lot of flavor very quickly, I think, are great shortcuts to kind of simply cooked but very delicious meals.
So why is tahini located in the peanut butter department at a grocery store? Because, I mean, some people have told me they put it on crackers and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's got a similar texture. It's obviously like a seed paste, and I guess, peanut butter is a nut paste. So that's why it's kind of grouped together. But I think they both have really individual flavors. And actually, I've used both in this book because I think to add kind of richness quickly, they're both unmatched. You can put it on crackers, absolutely. But, I'm really influenced kind of by Middle Eastern cooking. So, obviously the really obvious place for it is kind of in hummus. That's the traditional place for tahini, but it's great on crackers. It's great drizzled over soup. It's even really, really good, with yogurt next to your morning fruit. It adds just such richness. It's brilliant in smoothies. So it's such a versatile ingredient, kind of sweet or savory.
Wouldn't you say, though, that it's a great plant-based food, too, for those that want to get into plant-based stuff?
Exactly. I think that tahini and peanut butter are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you are sort of vegetarian or vegan or plant-based, whatever term you want to use, or even if you're just inquisitive and you want to eat that way a few more nights a week, then it's a great thing to add because it adds, a little bit of protein, a little bit of richness, but it adds some of that kind of really rounded, deep flavor that perhaps, you might miss if you weren't, cooking with meat and fish.
The name of the book is Easy Wins. One thing that I really love about this, it's very easy and simple to do these dishes, but what I love about being inside that kitchen is I like to sample it. So sometimes I like to really take my time and keep others away because I'm sampling it. I love to taste it before everybody else.
Yeah, but that is such an important part of cooking. I think that is one thing that quite often people miss. I've got a few friends who kind of cook a dish and then they put it on the table and they're like, oh, this doesn't taste as good as I expected it to. But the first time they're trying the dish is when they're sitting at a table with everyone else trying the dish. And for me, as someone who's worked in kitchens and been a chef, I try all the way through. I'm adjusting the seasoning, I'm adjusting the acidity, I'm perhaps adding a bit of sweetness. And that's really one of the big difference between kind of professional chefs and home cooks is this tasting all the time. It's a kind of creative process cooking. And, you need to be sort of involved in the flavor from the moment you turn the stove on to the moment it goes to the table. So I love that you taste.
Well, Anna, I got to tell you, what also is included in our kitchen is that you have to do the dishes immediately because that's part of the process of having a celebration of food.
Absolutely, it is, and that's something that I'm really trying to teach my children. Not going that well at the moment, but yeah, I think it's all part of the process, isn't it? And we kind of, we sort of glorify certain parts of cooking, and then we make certain parts of this process, the sort of, the bits that we don't want to do or the drudgery. But I love putting something good on the radio or some good music on and doing a bit of washing up and getting everyone involved. I think that's the thing. If you have people around for dinner, it's not just cooking for them, it's the whole process. Get them to come and help you with the washing up.
It seems like the whole world has jumped onto this almond thing where you gotta have my almonds, but you introduce us to buttery almonds. Oh my God.
Oh, buttery almonds. So there's almonds used in a few places in this book. There's some kind of buttery almonds that go on top of a biryani, which is sort of a baked rice dish, which I love. And there's so many interesting Indian communities here in the UK that make biryanis in so many different delicious ways. There's also a really great kind of nut recipe that uses mustard seeds, and lots of kind of different spices, and you roast the nuts with a bit of honey and all these spices, and they're a great thing to have, to snack on while people come round or just to have in your cupboard. So yeah, I mean, I love almonds, but I'm equal opportunities to all nuts. I love all.
The selection of the recipes is so cool because my wife and I do a thing once a week where we call it the Couples Challenge. And blindedly, we go into the recipe book and we pick out 2 recipes. No matter even if they have nothing in common, as chefs or cooks in the kitchen, we have to make it work. And your book is a great tool for that.
Oh, I love that. That sounds so fun. And actually, I really recently have got into cooking a few recipes from one cookbook. I feel like quite a lot of the time, it's a bit like how we listen to music. You know, with the streaming services now, we might just listen to one song and then we don't listen to the rest of the album. But I've really tried with my music to sort of listen to albums from beginning to end. And I think it's the same with cookbooks. It's so interesting to cook a few recipes from the same cook and see how they work together and understand how they write about food. And so all my kind of dinners recently have been based on one chef's work and, you know, really trying to cook a few things from there. So it's I love that you do that.
Do you suggest that we listen to music while in the kitchen?
Absolutely. I love to listen to music while I cook. If I'm writing recipes or if I'm really sort of in that headspace where I'm trying to work out how many grams of this and how many cups of that, then I listen to music without words because I find, you know, sort of either classical or sort of new classical music really, really good. But I actually have a kitchen playlist. If you look up Anna Jones kitchen playlist on Spotify, all my favorite, there are other streaming services available, obviously. There are all my favorite tunes to cook from are there. So yeah, I think cooking to music is the best.
So now, when it comes to designing dishes, I feel like that you're a scientist inside the kitchen. Are you jotting down immediate notes and things as you're doing it?
Quite often I will cook something first without writing any sort of clear notes down. It will just sort of exist in my head. And then the second time I cook it, I'll write really, really precise notes. Sometimes I use kind of like a voice note and I sort of will just sort of speak into my phone about what I've done. But yeah, I think it is. I'm much more an instinctive cook than a kind of, you know, sort of kitchen alchemist or scientist. So I have to force. Recipe is a real art. You know, I've been lucky enough to work with lots of chefs and help other people with their cookbooks over the years. So I must have read upwards of sort of 10,000-15,000 recipes by now. So I feel like I've picked up what's good and what's bad, and hopefully I feel like, you know, really cooking a recipe should be a dance. You should be moving around the kitchen. You shouldn't be wasting time. You should be doing things in a certain order. And I think there's a beauty to that. But also, if you're cooking a recipe that works, you'll cook it again, you know, and you'll feel good about it. So I really, I really hope that mine do, and people enjoy cooking them.
That is so interesting that you say that about following the order, because my wife is very strict on that. I like to jump all over the recipe card. She likes to go one step to the next, to the next, to the next. And I get, maybe it's my ego. I just want to get to that flavor.
Well, I think we have the same thing in our kitchen with my husband. He is a scientist. He's a chemist. So he likes to cook from the recipe. He does everything. He weighs out every single thing to the last gram, and he does it so precisely. Whereas I'm much more a kind of turn the pan on to a high heat and tuck everything in there. But it's quite good to have two, you know, opposite characters in the kitchen, because I think I learn from him and he learns from me. So yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting. I love to watch people who are really, really precise cooks.
Anna, you speak of using high heat. I get in trouble for using high heat. My wife always goes, "You're ruining my pots and pans. Turn that stuff down."
Well, yeah, I'm with you. I think I always like, I'm the sort of person that's not always in a rush, but I'm always doing a million things. So I kind of do things kind of quickly. So I'm always turning things onto a high heat and starting with a very hot pan. But from there, I will sort of manage the heat and turn things down. But I think that is one thing. Sometimes people are a bit scared of getting their pan super hot. But actually, when you put any food into a hot pan, it's immediately going to cool it down a lot because of the water in the food, and because of the temperature of the food. So I would say starting with a really hot pan is almost always a good thing to do. So yeah, you've got something to go back to your wife with that.
You put focus on veggies, and that's something that we've added a lot to our lives. But those things can be a little delicate. You've got to really pay attention to what veggie you're playing with.
I think we do a little bit, but I think quite often people think that all vegetables need to be handled very delicately. And of course, like some of the spring vegetables, the snap peas, the asparagus, and some of the delicate leaves do need to be handled quite delicately. But quite a lot of the kind of wintry and autumn vegetables can be really, really good kind of over a grill on the barbecue. Big wedges of squash or pumpkin on a barbecue or over a flame can be delicious. Red peppers you can stick straight in a flame and blister and char them. So I do think, you need sort of get to know your vegetables and get to know which ones can take a bit of heat and which ones need a bit more care. But yeah, I think you can definitely be brave with vegetables sometimes, and I love to do that.
Well, one of the ones that always gets me a little off balance is I want to use the leaves of fennel because it's so beautiful with all of that fluffiness on top, but yet that's the stuff that we throw away. There's got to be something we can do with that.
Absolutely. Well, the leaves of fennel are unbelievably delicious. They're essentially a herb, really. And lots of kind of the green grocers that supply the restaurants here in London will sell bunches of fennel tops as a herb to use. They taste like dill, but they've got a sort of almost more delicate, more fragrant, and slightly more sort of aniseedy flavor. So absolutely, if you're cooking any dish with fennel, chop those tops off, sprinkle them over at the end, or save them and finally chop them through a salad with lots of lemon juice. They're delicious and brightening. You could use them anywhere you might use dill.
Now, let's talk about that double lemon pilaf. This sounds more like a dessert instead of a side dish.
Yes, well, I love this dish, and I'm vegetarian, so I obviously will eat this kind of as a main. Sometimes I'll stir a few chickpeas through it. But yeah, it's pilaf is just such a great way of cooking rice. You basically put it in the oven with the liquid, and it kind of, it's a fail-safe way of cooking rice. It gives the fluffiest rice. There's some turmeric, there's some onions in there, there's loads of lemon, then there's these buttery almonds and loads of herbs that go on top. And I make this alongside curries, but as I say, stir some chickpeas or some green veg through it, and it's enough for dinner. It's just light and fragrant, and yeah, it's my favorite rice at the moment, and we eat a lot of rice.
we went through a stage there where it was like we had foodies and everybody you had your special groups of foodie fans and stuff like that. But I think we're now at the Olympic stage. Don't you think, Anna, that cooking food should be in the Olympics?
Absolutely. That is just the greatest suggestion. I really think we have all this education around kind of, numeracy, literacy, sports, music, all of these things, but we are not teaching children how to cook in our schools. We're not teaching them food literacy. And for me, this is just the biggest gap and biggest mistake that we're making across the whole world. So I'm with you. If we had things like a food Olympics, if we had these exciting things that like kids could watch on TV, then they'd be excited about cooking in the same way that they're excited about football. So I'm so with you.
Yeah. Where can people go to find out more about you, Anna? Because I want them to really know who you are and cook with you.
Oh, well, that is so lovely. I am at annajones.co.uk is my website, and on Instagram I'm We Are Food. But if you pop in Anna Jones, I'll pop up there. Oh, I would love to, Arrow. It's been so nice chatting with you.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you. I will be.
All right, coming up next, we're going to get real serious with Susan Hindley when it comes to art and our sanity.
To take your call.
Hello and good morning. Can you hear me now?
Arrow?
Yes. Hello and good morning. Can you hear me?
Hey, Arrow. This is Terry, and I have Susan waiting to talk to you, but she's on a different line.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, because we were hit by a huge storm last night. So for some reason, I was receiving your phone call, but I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Okay, let me try to connect with you again. Let's hop off this one, okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Modern day technology kills me. All of my phone calls today came in from New York. All of my phone calls came in from New York. Yeah. Come on, call in. Wow. Hello and good morning.
Hi, Arrow. It's Terry. Let me get Susan Hensley, the author of Art for Your Sanity.
All right, let's have some
Hold on
fun.
one second.
Absolutely.
Hi, Arrow. You're connected with Susan.
Hello and good morning, Susan. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Arrow. How are you?
Excited to talk with you because I believe that you and I are speaking the same street when it comes to art being very important to our chapters and journeys.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it then. If you already enjoy that, this will be a meeting of like minds.
There you go. And boy, I'll tell you what, it seems to be the artist, the one that's, always stepping through these storms to help people understand that you know what, you're going to have good days, bad days, but listen to your artful self.
Couldn't agree more. I have sadly discovered it a little bit later in life, but boy, do I now believe in the power of it.
It's so true because, I became a daily writer in July of 1994. I can't imagine my life without that because that opened up the path for art on a canvas, art is in the kitchen. Art everywhere. It comes with so many different definitions nowadays when you open yourself up for art.
You know what? You are so right because I think, to be fair, I've always written. I didn't practice as many what I would call completely right-brained creative outlets with color and collage, really freeing myself up in that way. And yes, there are so many paths to it, kitchen, music, and boy, does it enhance our lives and I feel like really help us navigate the choppy waters of living in this day and age.
You talk about the right side of the brain. I always thought that we were supposed to be tapping into the left side. Has it switched up?
Yeah. So in the recent research, as I got really curious about what was happening, the left side's what we use to succeed in our current society. That tends to be very linear, process-oriented, logical. The right side is really much more holistic, creative, more encompassing. And, when you were talking about what writing, the daily writing did for you all those years ago, it probably had some of those components of play in it and of expressing yourself, which when you find that release, it's releasing, endorphins, which really can help with stress and anxiety. And yeah, there's been so much written in the last few years around the science of play, of creativity, self-compassion, and creating art for just the sake of creation, not the output, really taps into all of those components.
I think one of the reasons why so many people are so afraid of being creative and or into the world of art is because first, I'm very blessed to speak with a lot of actors and musicians and very creative people. And the majority of us all agree that creativity is an addiction. And I think that scares a lot of people away because they don't understand that you've got to answer the call.
Yeah, you're, it's funny. That speaks to me and what happened when I found art journaling is I'd always had a pretty strong inner critic. My first career is in journalism, and I had a certain way I felt I should write and present. And then I went into corporate culture, and I had a deep perfectionist, right? Got to do it this way. And when I started art journaling and I made a mess, and it sparked joy. It was literally a brown splot. And I wanted to take it home, this is as an adult, and hang it on my refrigerator. I was so proud of the act of creating. And then I started to do it every day. And just simple, the way I'd keep a written journal, which I still do. I'm a huge believer in daily writing, but I started to do art every day because it simply started to feel good and then become that emotional release, then that source of self-discovery. And because at this life stage, I was not trying to be, I'm using air quotes here, for an artist, the pure joy of creating the process and not the end result was so liberating. So I love it when you say it is addictive. And we don't give ourselves enough permission to even put our toe in the water many days.
Yeah. When was your awakening when it comes to art? And the reason why I bring that up is because I was at 107.9 and it was Bob Lacey that told these people around me, he says, leave him alone. He's an artist. All of a sudden, him defending me in that tone, it really changed everything for me.
Wow. That is terrific. I have never had that external validation, but I am at an age and life stage that it's okay. I would say really about 6 years ago, as I was just journaling my heart out, and I would look at the pages and I would flip back through them and feel tremendous compassion for the person who had created these pages and for the emotion that I was working through, and even that inner wisdom that was coming out and encouraging me. And it was funny because I would have been a person that, met me 6 years ago, I never would have written a book so personal, right? And I never would have put my art journal entries in. But I thought there's other people like me who have, for whatever reason, got stifled at an early age. And I want to show this low bar, if you will, that it's not about creating anything that's perfect or that you would even show. It's about what feels good and creating for the sheer joy of creating, or the release of creating, right? Self-expression that is non-judgmental just leads to so much emotional healing.
When you look back like that, I call that method of looking back, dear future reader. It's like your present self is writing a letter to a person that will read what you have written.
You are exactly right. And it gives me chills even now when I go back through, because I've produced quite a few journals. First, windy, foggy paths and roads. I was doing a lot of collage, then people standing at the edge of things. It's just the imagery is so powerful, and it comes from a place of curiosity and a lot of compassion, right? The judgment doesn't exist there. That inner art critic doesn't come to these play dates. And I have found so much freedom there. And I think that's part of what you were talking about, the addiction of creativity is if you can quiet that inner critic, it is a spot in our daily lives that is, blissful.
How important is taking a walk for you? Because I take transition walks because I believe that we're all several different personalities all wrapped up into one body. And you've got to be able to have, separation between these personalities. So I take a transition walk.
So we are the same person. I always get up and take a transition walk. And if I can't get outside, I've been fortunate to live in areas with pretty good weather. So I usually try and get outside, feel the fresh air. If I can't, I'll do a loop, if you will, around the room, do just a few deep breaths, big sort of awareness of breathing, even shake it off. Every once in a while it just sort of feels good to, we've always had dogs, big dogs, labs and stuff, to do that sort of dog shake also helps transition.
My wife brought up a very interesting point about modern day mental health, and that is that books like this, art therapy, is so important. People have got to understand that it is a brilliant step forward.
Yeah, like I said, I fell into it, and then because I'm not a neuroscientist, I got lucky, and there was a bunch of research. And the more research I did when it came to mental health, the importance of play because a lot of art initially can feel like you're playing. And sometimes there's a sense of, well, that's not a good use of time, right? And I'm not being productive. And when you tap into that component of expression through color, through form, through shape, it is so freeing for your mind. All the studies have shown what it does for stress, for anxiety, to once again really release whether it's the endorphins or then produce, a lot of serotonin, which is that neurotransmitter that really contributes to our feelings of happiness and well-being and connection with something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. Part of that playing that you talk about, I call that hidden speak. In other words, I could be having a cranky day or something that doesn't feel right. And instead of being, negative on the page, I'll use hidden speak to go a completely different direction. And it's child's play with words is what it is.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's exactly what it is. You're moving into a different lens or a different frame that helps you, see it differently. And I've noticed so much when I've taught workshops and even on the online course, we have to spend a lot of time thinking about the voices that are in our head and what we want to put in its place that is curious and supportive. Not everyone can get to supportive right away. It's interesting, but people can get to curious. They can ask hi, what's happening here, with a sense a little bit of wonder versus a pointedness. And I think that really makes a difference and frees people up.
When did you give yourself permission to start releasing it? Because as long as it's with you inside that little secret place where you put your daily writing, but once you set it free, relinquishing it, it now belongs to us. But it started inside of you.
Exactly. I think it's been building, and I think there have been different outlets all along. It's an interesting question. I would say, once again, just sort of in the last few years, I remember the first time I shared my journal was with my book club. Ooh. And the fact that people looked up on, it felt so vulnerable, because once again, I would not have shared a written journal per se, but I shared the art journal, and just watching people be curious, right?
Yep.
And feel some of the same feelings, because color, right? It's like what happens when we go to a museum or you see a sculpture, or even you see a beautiful flower in nature or a tree. There's just a little bit of that sense of awe and wonder that I think can kick off and starts to feel a little bit like a treasure hunt. Like, I want to do this again. This felt good. I liked that, finding that feeling.
Normally, my conversations are, I'm only gifted with 10 minutes. Do you have 15 minutes? Can I have 5 more minutes with you?
I think so. I'm not sure if Terry's on, but I would love to go another 5 minutes. So I'm pretty sure we can make it work. I'll just hurry up in between.
Because I really want to talk about those visuals and how that really changed my mind when I was led down that path. When you speak of those colors and things, the color yellow, go study it, go see what it is. The color red, the color blue. And when you start adding visuals in, when you walk out into a real world, it's a different story and experience.
Oh, it is. And, color is so personal. There's cultural associations with color, but the cultural associations aren't always the same. I mean, if you take red, for example, it can mean love or anger, right? And depending on your mood, you can feel either. I love when I go outside and take a walk, I'll think of a color. Sometimes I'll even choose an obscure color, and all the places you start to see that color, once you've put that thought in your mind, it's sort of that sense of the creative impulse of the universe is playing with you, whether it's in a bird's wings, whether it's in the bark of a tree, right? No matter where it is, it's fascinating how you start to see that color, that pattern repeat.
I think animals do the same thing. I think they toy with us. I think animals, know that we need something, a mental escape or something, because we've got a very playful red-tailed hawk in our forest, and it's like that little bugger, he just loves to play around with my dog and I.
Oh, I could not agree more about the animals where I used to live. We had a series of owls, and I'm an early bird and going out and listening to some of what's going on. But yes, I think when we're open, right, it's all about being open and present to what shows up. Rather, you put yourself in that position through actively doing something creative and playing, and then you carry that sense of curiosity and openness out into the world. Yeah, I find there is much more play. We're hardwired to see the negative, right? We've heard a lot about our negativity bias as humans. I think we are equally hardwired to feel joy and awe. We just get in our way, and that it's a real muscle we need to build. We have it as kids. I mean, you have it absolutely as children, but as adults, somehow we lose that, or at least I did. And regaining it is just, yeah, it feels the best. Like I said, it's why I was compelled to write the book and start trainings and workshops, because once you get that little taste of it, you want to share it.
Absolutely. Now, the goal is get them to the book, get them to highlight inside the books the areas that they can relate with, but more importantly, activate what you are learning. Don't just sit here and read this book. They've got to activate it.
Oh, absolutely. And on my website, I just have a quick starter guide. This is something that people can do, and it's free. It's a PDF. I know I should be selling the book or the course or stuff, but I really do believe in this. Quite honestly, I wrote this at a stage in life that it's about sharing, and the book takes you through how to do it. So is the online course. But I think you can just play and follow some of those sparks of joy, because one tip that I feel strongly about for a person who isn't already playing in this space is start with the tools that you loved to use as a kid, whether it's crayons, glue sticks, watercolors, finger paints. Because if you start with inexpensive materials that you already associate with freedom and play, it really helps to keep that inner critic at bay. And you also don't have any hangups about being wasteful. And I think that's so important. It's a very low barrier to start to see if this is for you, because I do believe it can add so much to people's lives.
What is that website? Because I want them to reach out to you.
Sure. It's Susan-Hensley, and Hensley's HENSLEY.com. Like I said, you can buy the book, see the course, but really there's just a free PDF. It's a quick starter guide that if you just want to play with it for a while, download it and give it a try. I've had a lot of people start that way. It's why I created it, because this really is about you expressing yourself and discovering your inner wisdom, tapping into that power.
Oh my God, you've got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you, Susan.
Oh, I would love it. This has been an absolutely joyful conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're such a gift. You are such a gift to the world.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you too. And this shows like this just mean, however people find things to enhance their lives, it is a wonder. Thank you.
Excellent. Will you be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you.